Here's the exact linear speed warm-up that we utilize anytime that we perform a linear speed focused training session. Yo, what's going on guys? Chris Warner here, Overtime Athletes. And for today's video, similar to the agility warm-up that we shot, I want to go over the exact movements that we perform before any linear speed session. Now, some of this is, we call prep, but we can also kind of consider it a warm-up. It's the work that we perform to really kind of hammer throughout an entire off season prior to us getting into our actual sprinting, right? This is going to be in the beginning stages of our off season. This is our actual work. However, once we've established that base and foundation, it then becomes kind of our prep series, our warm-up prior to when we get into some of our drilling. So starting off from the get-go, we always start from the ground up developing the lower limb. So we do a series of 3 to 4 different progressions with the pogo jumps. The first one is going to be just your standard pogo jump. Basically the athlete is gonna perform it 10 yards down. The biggest thing that I focus on when we're doing this is making sure that the athlete can focus on the ankle staying cocked and pulling that toe to the top of the shoe, bouncing off the balls of their feet. A lot of young athletes like to go ahead and drop and kind of point that toe when they spring off, and we want to make sure that we stay in that ankle cock position. The second one is we're going to do a pulsing pogo. So the pulsing pogo is a little bit more aggressive, where that second jump is going to be a high jump. So you have an absorption jump and then a big jump, absorption jump and then a big jump. So you're kind of every other one is giving you the biggest jump that you could possibly get. The third one is going to be, now we're starting to kind of work through that single or unilateral, but it's just an alternating, right? So I'm just going to have the athlete focus on the foot, being able to perform pogos in a linear fashion, alternating between both legs. From there, we then break it down to single foot, where it's just basically single foot going down, right leg down, left leg back. And then after we establish with the lower limb, we're then gonna introduce some lower level plyos. From there, the first one that we're gonna perform is just going to be a single leg hop, right? Where the athlete is essentially gonna get the whole leg involved, right? Hip, knee, and ankle, being able to decelerate and jump and basically hop off that single leg. So they're gonna do that in a linear fashion, going down 10 yards, switch legs, come back 10 yards. Once we've kind of established that, we start getting a little bit more progressive. 2 of the biggest drills that we perform are gonna be our power skips. We do these in 2 different fashions. We do one where we focus on a vertical focus. I tell the athletes, think about a skip, but you're trying to punch your head through the ceiling, right? So I really want you to focus on driving vertically as high as you can every single skip. The second variation is gonna be for distance. So my coaching point with distance is I'm trying to get as far as I can on every skip, whereas opposed to driving vertically, right? I'm actually pulling horizontally in that skip. I tell them, imagine your belt line, imagine your waistline, trying to stay parallel with the ground, and you're just driving out as far as you can every single skip. After we get our skip series done, depending on where we're at and what level athlete, we can do some A skips, some B skips, stuff like that. One of the ones that we hammer across the board is gonna be a straight leg bound. So a straight leg bound is a great drill, especially for a warm up or a prep, to be able to have that athlete focus on striking the ground in a long length or a long range of motion with the entire leg. And the goal here is, as the athlete strikes the ground, they're focused on being able to claw at that turf and really pull away to propel themselves down the turf. The other big thing that I'm asking them to do is don't just kind of lean back and chop your legs up. I want you to focus on separating, and more so focus on separating on the backside. So trying to pull back as far as you possibly can when you perform that straight leg bound. Then from there, we get a little bit more aggressive. And these are the most stressful, high stimulus drills that we do to finish off the linear speed series. We have an alternating bound, but we do it in 2 different fashions. The first one I start off with is gonna be alternating bound for distance. This translates more to acceleration, right? So the way that I coach this is I have the athlete essentially drive that that rib cage slightly over the pelvis, chin tucked, eyes gaze kind of down at the turf. And what I want that athlete to focus on is being able to, again, just with the distance on the power skips, keep that waistline, that belt line parallel with the ground, driving forward, right? You don't want to see that raise up, right? We're not going vertical, we're going for distance. I want the athlete to punch the knee forward, separate the hips, and then attack back down at the ground every time that we perform that drill. So they're really focused on getting as much as they can or as long as they can every single stride. Huge mistake I see made here is athletes try to cut that stride and try to attack back down too quickly. I tell them get as much hang time in the air across that as you possibly can. So we want minimal bounds across your turf or your field, whatever it might be. And then the last variation of that, which is actually the most stressful, most, you could say, I don't want to say complex, but hardest on the body, is gonna be the alternating bound for height, right? So we're going back for a vertical focus. This is gonna translate more to top speed. This is where the athlete's torso's upright and their shin angle when it strikes the ground is completely upright and vertical. They're focused on every bound when they're doing this, being able to get as high as they possibly can as they go through the turf or whatever length that you prescribe to them. That's the entire series that we perform. Every single time that we perform linear speed, this continues to lay the foundation, allows us to develop that force that they're needed to be able to then sprint. And then after that, like I said, you can add some progression, some wrinkles as you go, but that's the bread and butter. And then from there, we get a quick break and then we're right into our drilling, whether that be mechanical, technical, whether that be, just all out sprints, whether it be acceleration or top speed. We lay the foundation with that warm up first, and that sets the tone. And as they build that up and really nail those drills, it sets you up for more quality repetitions when you get into your sprinting. So I hope that helps. Hey guys, if you're looking for a full speed program, you can check out the link below, and I'll talk to you guys next time.